This podcast is proud to be sponsored by Tuvu. Tuvu connects people, families, and communities on their values based social media platform. There's no ads, no explicit content, just fun. Check it out at tuvu.com. The Jesus Culture's Kim Walker Smith is a singer, songwriter, worship leader, and now solo recording artist. Her music brings hope and healing to millions worldwide. She's also one of my favorite things, and yours. She's a fierce mama bear. In fact, she's not afraid to sing about it with her latest crossover hit, Mama. Stay tuned for our lively discussion. This is going to be great.
You know, I've never really felt comfortable sharing pictures of my kids on social media. Then I found Tuvu, a premium social app with an actual, authentic community. No bots, no one trolling me or my family. Just clean, wholesome content you can trust.
Welcome to the Moms for America podcast. Each week, special guests tackle the issues facing the moms of America today. Discussions include personal stories and advice on how moms can build a strong foundation of faith, family, and freedom in their homes and country. Hi, moms. I'm Debbie Carolitis, your host, and I'm so glad that you're joining us again this week on the podcast. Every week, we try to inspire, encourage, and educate moms about their journey through motherhood. And today's going to be another great show with a great guest. I can't wait for you to meet her. I also want to invite you here on the top of the show to get ready to like, subscribe, and share this podcast with your mama friends. They are going to absolutely love hearing from Kim Walker. Also, if you have an idea or a topic for the podcast, would you please email me at podcast@momsforamerica.net. I would love to hear from you. Any suggestions or feedback, that email goes right to me. I also want to invite all of our moms that if you have not joined the Moms for America tribe, our sisterhood, our group, our movement, would you please? I mean, we are great. We're a great movement because we are here helping you moms every day with all the topics that affect you as a mom in your home. We say it's from the kitchen table to Congress. We've got all kinds of resources for you. We are moms uniting all across the country. We're fighting for faith, family, freedom, and the Constitution. So please check us out at momsforamerica.us. And if you're like, how do I join? Super. There's no charge, no nothing. You just go ahead, you sign up for our newsletter there, and then you'll get all of our information on a weekly basis about all the things that we're offering from homeschool to running for school board. All of our podcasts, our blogs, webinars, and seminars, they're all there helping you mamas. So go ahead again, check us out at momsforamerica.us. Well, on to today's program. I am so excited because I have been wanting to interview Kim Walker Smith for quite a while. And after this podcast, you'll know why. Kim became internationally famous while leading worship with the Jesus Culture. I know a lot of you are familiar with it. If you're not, it is a hugely popular Christian worship and discipleship ministry based in California. Now, in the last decade, Kim has also recorded with her husband, and then she's also recorded as a solo artist. Kim is passionate about God and about using her music to bring others into a deeper, more intimate relationship with Him. Now, over the last few years, this homeschooling mom and her family have gone through many changes. It's deepened her perspective and broadened her songwriting repertoire and her music. So we're glad to have her joining us today. I don't know, mamas. I am so excited to have this guest. I can hardly take it. In fact, I was jamming all morning to her music. Welcome, Kim Walker, to the Moms for America podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Kim, you are fabulous. I've always been a part of your journey. Jesus Culture, you as a music artist, phenomenal. I was telling you before we started, I'm a singer too. For the last 15, 18 years, I've been singing your songs, some of them, Show Me Your Glory, Mercy Seat, Throne Room. It goes on and on and on, your repertoire of amazing music. So I am a super fan, but I'm a super fan because you're so real. Jesus is first. You're a mama. You're standing up. You're just really going to be such a great interview today for the moms that are listening. So welcome. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
All right. Well, let's start a little bit of your journey as a music artist. If the moms are not familiar with Jesus culture, one, you should be. If you're not familiar with Kim Walker Smith's music, you should be. But you started your journey 20 some, was it 20 years ago, at a
Yeah.
youth conference? You wrote a song, you sang, something like that. I love to hear the beginnings of your music ministry.
Yeah, well, I grew up singing. I grew up in a musical family. All my family sang and played instruments, and I actually didn't think it was anything special. I didn't think I was special. I didn't even really think of myself as a singer or as a good singer. In my world, everybody sang, so I just thought that must be
Mhm.
how it is. Everyone in the world must sing and be musical. And I didn't really have a lot of success with music, honestly. When I was a freshman in high school, I was in choir and I got in trouble and I got kicked out of choir, but then I was
Oh,
banned for the rest of high school. And when I was 18, I gave my life to Jesus. And that set me on a course where I kind of just set my heart, I don't know what it is I will do with my life, but whatever it is, I just want to be closely connected to Jesus. And I always say, this was not really my plan, but in my pursuit of God, he just led me into leading worship. And so I was in my like early 20s, actually, I was about 19, 20 years old when I first started working with Jesus Culture. Jesus Culture is a ministry that started in 1999, and it was just a youth conference in the summer. That was the name of the youth conference. And when I came in 2000, I was actually helping with the street ministry. I would take
mm.
teams of people out on the street. We would hand out food. We would just do a lot of evangelism.
Evangelism. Yeah.
Yeah, we do a lot of that. But then this one time, fast forward just a few years, it was like they needed a worship leader. And it's like, well, I could sing. And I kind of helped out a little bit in the youth group, helping with worship. And I was kind of doing that a little bit, but it was something I was still honestly just growing in my confidence and kind of, I still felt very unsure about it.
Sure.
But we recorded the first album just with the intention of we recognized that kids were coming to the youth conference in the summer. They're having these just powerful moments with
Right.
God in the worship through the songs, but then they go back home to life where maybe they don't go to church on a regular basis. Maybe they're not
Mhm.
from Christian families. And so we wanted something to kind of keep that momentum going so that when they came
Right.
back the following summer, we could build on that momentum. So we decided just to capture the worship and have something that they could take home with them and kind of hopefully keep growing that relationship with
Right.
God. And that first recording, that's exactly what it was. We weren't trying to we weren't writing songs. We were just recording the songs that we were singing in the youth group. And it was success. When they came back, it was like they were ready to grow more. And parents were calling us and saying, I don't know what happened. My kid has asked me to take him to church. We had parents
There
who
was
have
an
said,
encounter with Jesus. That's what happened, right? Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. I mean, there were kids actually leading their parents to the Lord. And
Wow.
so anyways, we decided, well, that worked. We should do it again. And this time we recorded as one song in particular was a song called How He Loves. A friend of mine named John Mark McMillan wrote that song. It was a song that really ministered to me. And a kid put it on YouTube. I got to be honest, I did not even know what YouTube was at the time. Back then, YouTube was still kind of new,
Right.
and it was my little brother who found it on there and said, Sissy, you're on YouTube. And it went viral. Now at that time, viral was still, a word we use for
Thousands.
sickness.
Right. Probably.
But
Yeah.
it was, early on in those days, and it did. And that's what honestly launched my career as a worship leader,
Isn't
and
that
kind of
something?
pushed me into to what I do now. So
Isn't that something? So you just I love when God does stuff like this. You just have
yeah.
no expectations because you're going there to help
Mhm.
and you use your voice, your talent, and
Yeah.
God blesses. And I think I've heard you say it was like, I don't know, thousands at one time, and now what? It's in the millions.
Yes, so that video now has millions of views, and it's incredible to me actually the way that the Lord has used this video. It was done, decades ago, but I still will hear testimonies, messages, emails from people who are finding that video for the first time. And it's
I
just
love
really
it.
incredible. Even the way it honestly, it's kind of a longer story, but there's a moment in the song where I'm speaking. And at the time
Mhm.
when we recorded it, I walked off stage feeling really kind of foolish and embarrassed. Like something was happening in the moment. I'm trying to communicate it. I felt like I sounded kind of not good. I felt like I just sound like an idiot. Like I was just kind of mumbling around my words and not making any sense. And I begged for that not to go on the recording. And everyone said, "Oh my gosh, I was like the best part of the night. Like we're putting that on the recording." And I was really upset. I just felt embarrassed and foolish. Like I had not done a good job of communicating the moment. And then it's crazy that God took something that felt really foolish and embarrassing to me and just has used it to bring glory to himself,
He
which I
sure
think is
did.
just kind of the nature of God at times,
Yeah.
and I'm okay with that.
And I would say that you've gone on to use that gift, and it was an inspired moment where you were I haven't watched it recently, but I remember seeing it where you just and encouraged everyone to let go and let God take a hold of their life.
Uh-huh.
And it was this moment where you just kind of had a prophetic word from Christ to encouraging these kids, and it was beautiful. And you've done that great job of listening to Christ as you do worship all along this way. You break out into those moments where God will just have you communicate to the audience about this time of worship and praise. So I love it.
Thank
That was got your feet wet there, and he's keeping you going on all
Yep,
that.
exactly. That's it
Um,
exactly, yes.
so let's kind of fast forward now and talk about your journey through Jesus culture and across the country. In fact, I saw you here in Chicago 2011. We took our youth group. I think to date, it was the longest standing ovation for Jesus. That's the rumor about Chicago during Jesus culture.
Yeah,
It was phenomenal. So what has this all been like? I want to get into motherhood. I want to get into homeschooling. I want to get into your new CD. But right now, what was Jesus culture like? And
yeah.
how did you tour the country? How did you balance Jesus with fame? How did you do it all?
Yeah, well, yes. So that once that video of how he loves went viral and that kind of launched us out there, that's when everything started changing in some really great ways and some really challenging ways. You know, I was in my early 20s when that happened. I wasn't married yet. I didn't have kids yet. And so in this whole process of now going around the world and doing worship and conferences and events for all sorts of different things, some of it being our own Jesus culture events, like the Chicago event. That was our very first arena gathering, which was so incredible and something that we had spent years praying into and preparing for. And
It was
then down
amazing.
to other, other people's conferences, events, and tours, outcry, different, Christian worship tours and things like that. But for me, honestly, the best part has just been this big adventure with Jesus and watching what the Lord has done. And the struggle, I guess, has been like you said, how do I keep following the Lord
Yeah.
and stay true to who I am as a worship leader and not letting any kind of fame or any other stuff go to my head. And I have found that really keeping people close to me who are not afraid to burst my bubble, to confront me, all of those things. I'm pretty proactive about getting feedback and just having community and having people in my
Mhm.
life. And a big part of my life has been helpful with that, and staying connected to the local church. I don't really, even though I am an artist, a recording artist, I don't really consider or see myself that way. I see myself as a worship leader and as someone who loves to serve the body of Christ. And I
Mm.
love that I get to go into lots of different churches. I love all the different kind of streams. I love that I can go into a place and lead worship, and they're really loud and passionate and excited and more charismatic. And I can go into a place that's a little more reserved, a little more quiet, that maybe they don't worship always the same way that I have. And I love that. I love kind of seeing
Mhm.
all the different facets within the body. And in the midst of all of that, I did get married. I had 3 kids. All of my babies came on the road with me from 2 months on.
I
My
love it.
oldest son, who is 10 now, he'll be 11 this year. He, by the time he had his first birthday, he had been in 13 different countries and 19 different states by the time he was 1.
Unreal.
It's crazy.
Unreal.
We did a lot of touring in that time,
Mhm.
and so my kids, they
And
weren't
by the
really.
way, can you tell us too, usually at the beginning, I tell everybody, "Tell me a little bit about your family." So, tell us about how the kids' ages that they are now and how many you have
Yeah,
and
yeah.
your hubby.
Yeah, my husband is Skylar, and we actually knew each other as kids. And our parents were friends. We kind of grew up together, although we never had any kind of relationship outside of friendship. And even that, he was typical farm boy, just interested in the dirt and outdoors, and not really interested in talking to girls. And I had a crush on him, and couldn't really get him to pay much attention to me. We grew up in this little tiny farming community in Oregon, and when we were 27, we ran into each other at an event, and the rest is history. We got married like 6 months after that. And we have three kids. Our oldest is Wyatt, who's 10, Bear, who is 9. The boys are very close in age. And my daughter, who just turned 7, her name is Maisie. So that is my family and my world. And like I said, they come out on the road with me a lot, and are incredible little road warriors. They're incredible with people. They're so great at holding conversations because they are meeting new people all the
All the
time.
time,
And,
yeah.
I was gonna say they weren't really the best sleepers as babies because they were just always in a new environment, new place, but they are great eaters. So, all the moms know, like, kids can be pretty picky with food, but my kids, that was one of the benefits. Like, they weren't good sleepers, but they're really good eaters. Like, being in foreign countries and other places often, it's just like, well, this is what there is to eat. You just gotta eat it. So, that's been the one benefit of it.
Wow. Well, they've experienced a lot. And don't you love that? That's great. Good
Yeah,
for you.
yeah.
So that's amazing. So you took them on the road all these
Uh-huh.
years with Jesus Culture. Are
Yeah.
you with Jesus Culture now? This is a couple questions I have from everybody. Is Kim still with Jesus Culture? I know she's doing solo. Do you still worship with
Mhm.
them? How does all that working out now?
So, 3.5 years ago, we're getting close to 4 years. We left California and we moved to Montana. And when we did that, I left Jesus culture. And it always sounds so negative to say that, especially because I'd been with Jesus culture for 21 years.
Sure.
And that was like really hard and kind of a shock to people. But Jesus culture, in 2014, we planted a church in Sacramento. A short time later, another church in San Diego. And so much of the emphasis of what we are doing had shifted from events to the local church, which was incredible. And obviously, just the fact that we were no longer living in California and we're far away just kind of put a separation there. Musically, I could have stayed and stayed with the label, but I just felt like it was a new season, and my husband and I both felt like the Lord was leading us into new things. And we spent all those years really pouring into that ministry and putting everything into that ministry. And we felt like in a really exciting, happy way that God was now releasing us to really pursue the dreams in our own heart and to kind of make some of these dreams and things that we've been wanting to do and to build a
Hmm.
priority for us.
Yeah.
And so, since being in Montana, we have been working hard at kind of building up a new way of releasing music and recording music, and building up some other things here in Montana for the future, for some worship training and worship schools and
Mm.
that sort of thing. So yeah,
Look what
we've
God
been.
has done. The journey never stops
Yeah,
with Jesus. We are just always on this road of transformation and being
yeah.
used by Him. So wonderful. So I want to ask one other quick question about Jesus culture. Why do you think the kids related so well to that? It's something that we definitely need to continue in this culture, right? We need a revival now.
Uh-huh.
We always said it was like the Jesus culture revival, but just for lack of a term, but the kids related to that so much. Do you see that still in today's generation? And I know that was the goal, right? Reaching a
Yeah.
generation for
Uh-huh.
Christ with Jesus
Yes.
culture.
Yeah, I have a few thoughts about it. My first is music is so powerful.
Mhm.
I think people forget how powerful it really is. And it's a little bit sad to me that there are people, sometimes the wrong people know how powerful music is. I
Mhm.
have actually a really great story about this. There was a time in my life before I was leading worship. I was newly saved. I was still going through a lot of healing and just kind of the transformation of becoming that
Sure.
new creation in Christ, you know? And something that I really struggled with personally was anger. I had a lot of anger inside of me from my childhood, from wounds, from things that I had walked through.
Mm.
And it was, I mean, it was deep in me. It was a really big deal. And I could go from 0 to 100 really fast. And one of my friends very gently pointed out to me, because he had noticed that when I got really angry, I would listen to a lot of the same music all the time.
Mm.
And it was not like angry screamo music. It was actually kind of a mixture of genres. You can't really pinpoint it to a specific genre. There was some Christian music in there and there was some other music, but these songs had a spirit of
Mhm.
anger on it. Now, again,
Oh,
they
right.
didn't necessarily sound like metal or screaming or angry music, but there was a spirit of anger on there. And when I would listen to this music, it would be like a drug, like it would calm me down. And
Mm.
I would, and that's why I would listen to it because it would bring my anger down, but it was like a drug. And my friend was trying to point out, like, I don't really know exactly what the issue is, but there's an issue here. And I was kind of offended and felt a little called out.
Mhm.
But the next time I got really angry, I go get my car, I go to put in that CD that I would listen to, and I just thought about what my friend said and thought maybe I should not do this. So I took those CDs of those songs specifically that I listened to when I was angry. I walked out to a trash can that was outside. I just put them in the trash can, got in my car. Within minutes, I was having cold sweats. I felt nauseous. I was dizzy. I had to pull over multiple times on the way home because I was sick. It was hard to drive home. And it
Wow.
was literally like a person going through
A
withdrawals
detox, yeah.
from, yes, from a drug. It was crazy. And I got home and my roommate said, "You look terrible." And I said, "I feel terrible." And I laid on my bed and I was like, "Lord, obviously there's something to this." And I went, I think I just went through deliverance, honestly, in that
Yeah.
moment. I
Mhm.
got set free from that anger and I couldn't listen to that music anymore. And it created a bit of a sensitivity in me towards music. I'm just keenly aware. Um,
Yeah.
but all that to say,
How
there are
powerful it is,
people
yeah.
there are
Mm.
people who do understand how powerful it is with bad intentions, who will purposefully, it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say it, but it's like witchcraft, you know, and it's kind of hard for us to wrap our minds around, especially in the Western church. No one really likes to talk about that stuff.
Mhm.
You go outside of the Western church into other nations, other countries, they're more aware and talk about these things more openly. But the reality is, music is powerful. On the flip side of
Sure
that,
is.
it's powerful in a really incredible way of drawing people closer to Jesus. When we
Right.
look back at our own kind of walk with God, there are probably certain songs that are connected to certain moments when he spoke something specifically to you, or it was a moment that you heard a lyric and it moved something in you and helped you get free, or the first time you experienced the love of God, or whatever it is.
Amen.
And I think that young people, just think about all the young, especially like the really young ones, the toddlers who you say, "Oh gosh, it looks like they're looking into my soul when they look at me." And kids are truth tellers. Kids are,
Yeah.
they can see through the facade of the fakeness of the trying to put something on. And I think that they long for authenticity. And I think that
Mhm.
that's why worship can be so powerful, when there is an authentic moment and encounter with God in that. And
Mhm.
it's really life changing to kind of go, we're not just singing songs, but there's actually a moment here that I can have an experience with a real God that is real. I can feel him, I can hear him.
Amen.
I can have this moment, and it stays stuck in our minds and our memories and our hearts and just moves us closer to God.
Mhm.
It awakens hunger inside of young people for more. And so
Mhm.
I think that's why it's been so powerful, and why worship continues to be such a powerful tool in helping young people connect with Jesus.
Yeah, and I think as parents too, we bring our kids to church or so on and so forth. But if you can play that worship music through your home too, and
Yeah.
let that just
Mhm.
cover your home, your household, your kids' little hearts and souls, it's just so powerful. And it's a moment where you can kind of just escape
Right.
and look
Mhm.
towards heaven. So it is so powerful. And Jesus culture has really done a great job connecting and sharing that authenticity, like you said. So, moms, check out Jesus culture again if you haven't. It's really great to introduce to your teenagers, your middle schoolers, your young adults, so on and so forth. But now you did go on to do your own. I think you've always done your own music a bit and
Yeah.
released them
Mhm.
over the
Yeah.
years, but that's kind of now where you are. I'm gonna finish off the music, and we're gonna get over to being mama, but you just finished your a new CD, and you've done CDs before in the past. This one is Trample, very
Mhm.
victorious, CD. All the cuts are super cool. We're gonna talk about that one specifically in a little bit, but, just a little bit about this CD. I love the moms to know about where you are now with Trample.
Mhm. Yeah, so now, I've been on a little bit of a different journey. Well, first of all, this album is unique in that oftentimes as a songwriter, we will write songs while we're in the midst of processing. It's almost like verbally processing and kind of how we will process a lot of time as artists and songwriters. And so let's just say if you kind of feel like you're walking through a desert season, we might actually write songs from that season, kind of talking about the desert season, what it's like, what it feels like to walk through that with Jesus. But this collection of songs, I feel like for the first time were written on the other side of the process of the kind of wilderness I feel like I walked through. When we moved from California to Montana, obviously it was 2021, so we're kind of on the other side a little bit of the pandemic. The world is just turned upside down a bit. Things are pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And then here I am. I've left everything that I was a part of for over 20 years, and I'm in a new place. I feel like I'm starting over a little bit. I felt a little turned upside down and kind of what am I doing? But I could also feel like the Lord he's doing something, and it's almost like there's this cloud. Like I know he's on the other side of this. I just don't, I can't quite see my way through, and I don't really know exactly what he's doing. And it required a lot of trust, a lot of taking steps forward when I didn't really know exactly where those steps were going. And
Mhm.
on the other side of that, I just came out with this confidence of I have a message. There is something burning in me that I want to say. I want to get it out there. And kind of even like I love to serve the body of Christ in this way of leading worship and writing songs for the church. But I wanted to kind of send a message to the church,
Mhm.
to the body of Christ. And so all of the songs were written from that place, and they are more
Good.
declarative and kind of this proclamation and kind of a taking a strong stand. And the songs are victorious, because that was the other thing that I felt was, it looks dark out there,
Yeah,
but when
it
you are
does.
closely connected to Jesus, you are full of hope, and you know that it doesn't
Mm,
actually, the darkness, it doesn't stand a chance compared to the light of Jesus. And we've read the Bible, we know how this
mhm.
story ends, and we can hold on to that hope. And so I just wanted there to be like um a message of
Yeah,
victory, of excitement, of hope, of what is, and also of what's coming
yeah,
with Jesus. And so
love
that's
it.
where this album is. And we've released this album completely independent, which was such a new thing, and a big deal for us to do that. We've been really excited about that as well.
Wonderful, I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. Why Montana? So you grew up in Oregon,
Yep.
moved to California, stayed there
Yeah.
for all those 20 something plus years. No,
Yeah.
more than that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. A long time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
long time. And then you decided, were you just done with California, done with the policies? Were you just looking for something more homesteady, more mountains?
Yeah.
What was the thought behind that?
Well, so my husband and I were at odds just a little bit. I felt like so before 2020, my husband he was like, I don't really want to raise our kids in California. And
Yeah.
we lived on a farm. We were kind of out in the sticks. We were both raised in a farming community. So we're living kind of our lifestyle. But obviously we have to go into the city a lot. We have to, I don't know, be kind of outside of our comfort zone a lot in California. And I kind of looked at it as like, well, we need strong leaders in California. I feel called to this place. We're going to be here. And my husband said, well, for me, it's when we leave California. And I said, oh, no, well, for
Mm.
me, it's if we leave California.
Aha.
Well, 2020 hit. And my husband is like, this place is insane and I want out.
Right.
And I was like, I didn't have an argument anymore at that point. I was like, I don't know what I'm fighting for. But also, I was with him. I had this experience in 2020. The short version of this story was that my daughter got really sick in the middle of the night. She got
Oh,
croup, which croup is a very common childhood thing. It's
sure.
basically like a cold where her
Cool.
vocal
Right.
cords are swelling up. She's struggling to breathe. None of my kids had that. So I didn't know what was going on in the middle of the night. I'm rushing to the hospital, to the
Mm.
ER, because she's struggling to breathe. I was scared. And the nurses found out that my daughter was not vaccinated. And I don't
Mm.
mean COVID vaccine, I just mean in general, my daughter was
Okay.
not vaccinated. And they were telling me that they could call CPS on me and that they could take my daughter. And they were threatening to do that. And I called my husband and I said, I just
No.
want you to know I'm going to go to jail tonight because these nurses are telling me that they're going to report me to CPS. And if they show up here, I'm going to be a crazy woman and I
Isn't
think
this
I'll like be
insane?
arrested. It
Isn't
was
this insane?
terrifying.
Terrifying.
Yes. And they were being so mean to me. Not they weren't even trying to have a conversation. You know, we had reasons why we weren't doing that.
Right, and by
And
the way, you're the mom. You're the parent.
exactly. Well,
They're
that's the
not.
bottom line. That's the
Get out
bottom
of the
line.
business. Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
And I did, say like move on. Like I don't have to have this conversation with you. I answered your
Mhm.
question. And um this I prayed and my husband's like, well, just take her and get out of there. And I said, she's literally on an oxygen machine right now, my daughter. I was like, I can't leave yet. And as I prayed, like right after I prayed, this sweet doctor, this older man,
Thank God.
came in the room. He happened to be the pediatrician on call. And he looks at the nurses and he goes, you get out of here and don't come back in.
Mm,
And he stayed with me the whole time. And he said, I know you're a good mom. Don't worry. No one's going to call CPS. I'm so sorry you just went through that. He's like, your daughter is fine. I can tell you're a good mom. She just has croup. It's not even a big deal. We're going to get her breathing good and send you home. And he stayed with me and literally
thank
escorted me
God.
out. And it was just an answer to prayer. But
Yeah.
I got home and I said to my husband, all right, I'm in. We got to, I'm
Pack the bags.
yeah, I'm not going to live in a place where I'm being threatened to
Yeah.
have my children taken from me because of that. Like, so
Mhm.
that was the end. And we just chose Montana because this culturally speaking, we're in a farming community and this is more like what we grew up in. And
Nice.
it just felt like this is where we're supposed to be. It's not really I didn't move to any specific church or ministry or anything like that. It was just we've just felt like this is where God put us. So
What a great story. And yeah, California is just off the rails, like so many other parts of the country too. The laws that they're passing, I mean, they're so they just really think that they are the parents of the children now, and that everybody
yeah,
else is just on the sidelines. So,
yeah.
obviously, I wanted you to tell that story because it really is very powerful, and a lot of people are leaving. We'll call the liberal states because they just can't parent. They
No.
threaten these kids with, threaten to take away your kids for a
Mhm.
variety of things now, not only vaccines, but all kinds of craziness.
Yeah.
So when you moved there, were you always homeschooling? Was that a because the kids were on the tour with you, or was this something new? I wanted to get to the homeschooling aspect of this as well because I
Yeah.
know you love it.
Yeah. So we were homeschooling from the beginning, which it just was kind of put upon me because my
Mhm.
oldest son, when he was ready to start school, California had just changed the laws where you could no longer have an exemption. You couldn't get a medical exemption for vaccines or a religious exemption. We actually did have a medical exemption, and it got taken away. So it was basically what happened was California said, your kids have to be vaccinated according to the state, and that's for Christian school or daycare, whatever it is. So it's not even like if you as a parent are okay with like these vaccines but not these ones, like you couldn't pick and choose or you couldn't delay. they
Yeah.
they have to have whatever the state says, that's what they have to go to school. And so when that law changed, I was like, well, I don't have a choice now but to homeschool. And so I, with my very first kid, I started right from the beginning. And it ended up being a blessing because obviously we were on the road a lot, and he would, my kids
Right.
would come out on
Makes
the
sense.
road
Yeah.
with me. And it actually really worked for our lifestyle. I never dreamt I would be a homeschool mom. I wasn't a homeschool kid. I went to public school. I had like no desire to do that.
Mhm.
I was scared. I honestly didn't even have a lot of confidence in myself or my ability. It's not like I was, a straight A student excelling in all the subjects at school. There were some I did great and some not so great. And I was worried, like, I don't even know if
Sure.
I'm capable of doing this. Is like,
It's a little intimidating, of
yeah,
course. Yeah.
I didn't wanna let my kids down,
Right.
obviously. I wanna prepare them for the world the best I can,
Right.
but it ended up being incredible, and now I love it. So we've just been doing it the whole time. My boys are both going into 5th grade, and gosh, there's so many resources and other homeschool parents out there who are just so ready to help. Like,
Yeah.
the homeschool
Resources.
community is incredible. They love to help. They love to jump in. They love to, if you're struggling, to help you come up with ideas. Or there's so many different curriculums out there. If one doesn't work for your kid, there's other options.
Yeah.
It's just been an incredible blessing. And, I was worried about how it would even affect my relationship with my kids, like becoming mom and
Mm.
teacher,
Yeah.
but it's actually drawn us closer together because I've come to know them in such a more intimate way. Like I can see how their little brains work, and I
Yeah.
understand, one kid learns this way and the other one learns this way, and I can really play to their strengths of how they learn. I just feel like I've gotten such an incredible glimpse inside of them and understand them so much better. And so it's actually, like I said, it's just drawn us closer together, and we have a lot of fun actually with homeschool, and they're all incredibly bright. I know I'm partial because they're my kids, but they really
That's
are.
okay, mama. You can always brag about those
Yeah,
kids.
yeah. So it's been an incredible experience for us. There are hard days. Any homeschool mom
Sure.
will tell you there are hard days,
Sure.
but those are the days that we change it up. I
Right.
say, okay, let's go outside. Let's do a science project. They love to do science
Right.
experiments. We just we
Yeah.
change it. We go with the flow.
I
So
tell you, right? Moms are great at figuring things out, right? If A's not working, we're going to go to B.
that's
And we
yep,
know our kids better than anyone. We know how they
yep,
learn. We know what their
mhm,
strengths and the weaknesses are. So,
yep.
good for you. I even saw that you gave in and gave let one of your guys get a lizard.
All of them, all my I never in my
I'll
wildest
never
dreams.
have reptiles, but now you have them,
No.
and this is what happens with
I
kids.
mean, I'm pretty sure at one point I was like, "No, never reptiles, no." But all my kids, they fell in love with bearded dragons. So 2 of them have bearded dragons, and one of them has a leopard gecko. And
Ah, it's so
but they
funny.
actually have turned into, like, really great pets. They are actually they're really good pets, and the kids love them. They put them on their shoulders, and they just, like, walk around with their lip
Uh,
on their shoulder, and I mean,
so funny. And I
yeah,
saw that on your Instagram. I'm like, yep. Well, that's
yeah,
mama for you, and that's
yeah,
also homeschooling. And we did chickens, turkeys,
oh,
everything,
yeah,
whatever the kids wanted, hermit crabs, gerbil,
yeah,
and you just do what you got to you do what you do. So
yeah,
it looks like you're actually having a blast there with those kids. Good for
yeah,
you.
we
That's so
are. Yeah,
exciting. All
you
right,
bet.
well, we're going to go to a break real quick. And after we come back, Kim, you're going to talk about your new awesome song, Mama. I've been teasing it all along the way. Moms, you will absolutely love this single. It is a fight song for mothers. It's like an anthem. So we'll discuss that. And we'll also talk about moms, the culture, how they're trying to rob our kids of their innocence. So stay with us. We're going to be right back with Kim Walker.
What kind of America do you want to leave future generations? What do you want America to look like for your children and your grandchildren? Our nation is at a crossroads, and it will be us, the mothers of America, who will determine the future of our country. What we teach and nurture in the hearts of our children and how we vote will make all the difference. If you love God, respect life, honor family, and cherish freedom, then use your voice and be heard. We teach these values in our home. Let's secure them with our vote.
I'm the keeper and protector. I'm the front line, the defender. I'm the comfort and the fighter, like a mama bear in the wild. A little pretty, pretty deadly. Ain't looking for a fight, but I'm ready. I'm the grit and the grace, so don't get in my way. Back off my babies, you can't replace me. Don't go thinking you know better. I'll do the praying, I'll do the raising. I'll decide what's best because I'm mama.
I told you, what a killer song. When we heard this, Kimberly and myself, we were like, where's Kim Walker? Where's Kim? I didn't even know that she's doing songs like this. Again, this is on her latest album, Trample. It's a victorious and inspirational CD. She just released it. Please check it out. But this mama, we heard some of the lyrics, but think about this. Back off my babies. You can't replace me. Don't go thinking you're better. I'll do the praying. I'll do the raising. I'll decide what's best because I'm mama. I mean, you nailed it, girl. Nailed it. Do you love it? I mean, we gotta get
Yeah.
this song out there. We're gonna all be, this is it. This is the mama bear in all of us. Tell us
Uh-huh.
about what prompted you to write it. Now, you kind of, I'm guessing you teased that prior story, but
Yeah.
about the vaccines and about California and all that stuff that you had to
Yeah.
move, but something bigger than that, something was
Yeah.
prompted inside your soul, obviously.
Yeah. So, it was a culmination of events, really. And it certainly did start in California. I mentioned, the story earlier with my daughter. But it was just with the incredible lack of morality within society, especially in California. It was getting so difficult. I mean, even just like driving down the highway and billboards and certain things on billboards that my boys would be like, look at that. What is that?
Right,
I'm like, oh my gosh,
right.
look away, avert your eyes. But then we had this experience. I took my kids to the store, and there was like long lines to check out. I just get in a line. I'm not paying attention to who's at the end at the register. And my kids are running around the cart. They're loud, they're talking, they're laughing, and I'm trying to organize things. I get up to the belt and I'm putting things on there. And I notice that my kids are just instantly silent, which obviously was not normal in that moment. And I just look at them and I see all three of them just staring, just wide eyed, just looking up. And I follow their gaze to the person who is at the check register. It was a man with a beard and mustache, but wearing a lot of makeup and a dress. And my middle son, who is also my really vocal son, pointed and said, Mama, what is that? And all I got out was that. And I stopped him and I said, we're going to talk about this later outside of this store.
Right.
And they just knew right away. They were just quiet. But this man seemed to think this was his moment or opportunity. And he looked at my kids and said, well, actually, and then he kind of takes a breath like he's going to say something. And I stepped in between him and my kids and I said, say one more word and I'm coming over this counter. And he looked at me like, she's serious. He knew I was serious. And he was quiet, but he's mad and he's, scanning my stuff. And it just really, it really bothered me. I mean, the nerve of someone
Yeah.
to think that with me as a parent standing right there, that you're going to say something or try to educate my children. Like,
Mm,
I thought the audacity to even
right.
think that you could do that. And then I was really bothered by, I'm not naive to the world, obviously, and I have to prepare my children for the
Right.
world that we're living in.
It's our biggest
But
job, right.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I do not want my right as a parent to have those conversations when I deem them the right time. I don't want that
Yes.
taken from me. And
Yes.
I want to have all of those conversations about gender, sexuality, all
Mhm.
the things that are happening in the world, all of that, when I feel it is the
You're the
right to
teacher.
have.
You're the
Yes,
greatest influencer.
yes,
Your husband, your home, not the
exactly.
right, not the world. And the
Yeah.
world will come in and they will teach it if we don't.
Yeah, and I think there was a lost time, decades ago, where that was respected as those are
Yeah,
private conversations
you're
that
right.
you have within your home, and families talk about those things according to their own values and their own, your
Right.
religion,
Religious
your
belief,
what, yeah,
conviction. Yeah.
exactly. And we just all of those lines have just been completely removed. And I just this anger, like a righteous anger, was stirring in me over this. And then more recently, there was a conversation that I was a part of where, the short version of this is that a grandmother was, upset that myself and a friend of mine, were essentially teaching our kids that there's there is darkness out there.
Mhm.
And like, my kids understand that their enemy is not people. The Bible says that our enemy is principalities and powers. It
Right.
is not flesh and blood. And my kids understand that there is an enemy who doesn't
Yeah.
care that they're children, and that he's not going to go easy on them, that they could still be attacked by darkness. And I am teaching them to put on the armor of God, as the Bible tells us, and how to stand in truth. I'm teaching them how to pray. I'm teaching them how to quote
Amen.
scripture, how to come against that darkness and to keep it at bay and to tell it where to go and send it back where it came from. But this woman just didn't seem to like that we would even discuss the darkness. And
Mm.
the thing I think that hurt me more than anything in this conversation was that, I was sitting there going, "You're a grandmother. What
Right.
we young moms need from you right now is your support and your prayers." Like,
Yes.
do you know it is so hard raising young children in this time? These are unprecedented times.
Yes, they
I
sure are.
cannot let my guard down for one moment. My
No.
kids cannot just go watch anything.
No.
I don't even let my kids read a book. I told my kids our rule is, at the library or a bookstore, you can read a book that either I have read and approved, or that is as old as me or older. That's kind of my, like, standard.
Yeah.
Like, nothing
So
new,
true.
nothing
You
current.
there's nothing safe anymore. You have
Yeah,
and this is the challenges that moms are facing right now. You have to be in every corner, every just inch of your children's lives. And
exactly.
this is not right. This is not how it should be, but that's where we are. And
Yeah,
there is a battle of light and dark out there.
yeah,
And if
yeah,
people don't recognize that, then I don't know what world they're living in. And that's a shame that
yeah.
we have to explain that to people. But thank you for being a voice for that.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I was after this conversation, I was just flustered. And one day I was driving around in my car. I was by myself. I was running errands, grocery shopping, and I was thinking about it. It was just like running through my head. And I started thinking about even myself as a mom. I have a platform, I have a voice,
You
but
do.
I'm a worship leader. I'm in the church most of the time. I homeschool my kids. So I'm not a mom who has kids in school where I'm showing up to the school board meetings or whatever it is. And I thought about how I know a lot of moms
Mm.
who want a voice and kind of feel
Yeah.
like they don't have a voice, and they're kind of like at home going, what can I do? And feeling the frustration of wanting to do something, wanting to say something. And sometimes some of them have even expressed just feeling small, feeling like I'm just this one little voice, like how can I put it out there? And as I'm thinking about this and processing this, I suddenly just had this idea, like, well, I can write a song,
You
and
sure
I
can.
can give voice to this, and for
Yeah,
moms, like, give voice to us who are on the front lines, who are at home raising kids.
that's
And
right.
as I said this out loud, this song just came to me. I felt like the Lord just gave it to me. I do feel like this was God ordained. I do feel like
Mhm.
it's on the heart of God. And I've never had this happen before. It's always been a process of songwriting, usually with other songwriters. And this one just dropped in my
Boom.
heart. And I grabbed my phone while I'm driving, I'm singing into my phone, recording
I was just gonna
this.
say, did
And
you start
then
singing into your phone in your car?
yeah, and so then I took it, I got like a good chunk of it, and then I took it to two other songwriting mamas who are good friends of mine, and I said, "Okay, typically we're writing worship songs, but I got something different. I want to play it for you. I want to know if you want to help me finish it." And I played it, and they're just like, "Oh my gosh!" They're like, "Yes." So we finished it up, and along with another songwriting dad who helped us kind of tie it all up together. But anyways, yeah. And when it was all said
Powerful
and done, I
lyrics.
was like, this is the fight song for
This
mamas.
is the fight song for mamas. What's the response been like?
the,
Because
the
it is
response,
unusual, right? It's an
it
unusual.
yes, the response has been incredible. Obviously, the moms love it.
Oh
It
yeah.
has crossed lines for me and brought in a lot of non-Christian listeners, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't there was no plan, but I'm excited about that. I'm excited that it's kind of crossed those lines. It's not just in church world as my world has been most of the time, but also a surprising response has been the kids. Kids love this song.
Ah.
And my kids sing it all the time. Just 2 nights ago, a friend in New Zealand, her daughters
It's
took
funny.
her phone and texted me from her phone and said, "It's Am's girls. We just wanted to tell you we love your new album and our favorite song is Mama." It was so sweet. And I was talking to a friend. I said, I wasn't expecting this, but what do you think it is? Like the kids love this song so much. And she
Oh,
said,
I know.
I think they like hearing their mamas say,
Yeah, fight for
I'm gonna
them.
fight for you. Like
Protect
I
you.
think, yes,
Yes.
I think it speaks to the
To their
kids, like the
hearts.
love,
Yes.
the safety. That's what every kid wants, to feel
Right.
safe and secure. This is why we have discipline and boundaries. No kid is ever going to say, "Yes, please draw boundaries and discipline me," but they do know and resonate that that is how they feel safe. And this song just speaks to that and that
I love
safety.
it.
Yeah, so that's actually been a surprising but really awesome response that I love. I
Well, I
love.
do believe God's going to use that song. And again, if you have not heard Mamas, please, please take a listen to Kim Walker's latest collection called Trample. I've got two last questions for you, Kim. I
Yeah.
know you've been so gracious there and probably taken away time from your kids from
Oh, it's
school.
been great. Yeah.
The church. I love the fact that you're speaking out as a worship leader. We don't see, unfortunately, a lot of the church speaking out against the culture,
Yeah.
for Jesus, for traditional biblical values, for parental rights, for freedom, for the Constitution, for the opportunities that God has given us here in America. I mean, we're not fighting. We're not fighting the wars that we need to as Christians. And that's why this song and this CD is so great. The church has kind of lost their way. I'm not talking specifically, but I mean, from the worship community to the pulpit,
Yeah.
so you as a worship leader standing up, I mean, we've got Danny Goki, we've got a couple of different people that really have been very vocal about, standing up for us, our rights, our country, parenting, God's love, all that. But it's not usual.
Yeah, I think that there are a few different facets to this. One is the fear of man. I think
Mm.
that fear of man is really powerful, unfortunately. But what people forget is how many times in the Bible God has told us that we are to fear God and God alone. Um,
Yeah,
and fear of man is the one thing that works to silence people. And it's not just silence in the midst of all of this, but whatever it is that you are called and created to do, fear of man can hold you back from a lot of things.
sure
And
can.
so I think that's a big part of it, but it's also the systems, the way that church has become, where there's a the the idolatry, I'm just going to say it, that has happened on platforms and on stages within churches, like esteeming a certain person or movement or whatever above God. And the fear of
Hmm.
man would say, oh, but I might lose people, or I might lose tithers, or I might lose
Hmm.
money, or I mean, all of these things, which is, it's really sad, but I think that's just the hard truth. And I think
Right.
until there's a reckoning and a repentance of that, like repenting of the fear of man and essentially kind of creating this idolatry, we're not going to see a change. That it has to
Right.
start with the repentance, and then bringing back the fear of God first and foremost above everything else.
Hmm.
But the other thing I think is just people. Uh, this world that we live in of
Yeah. It's
social
tough.
media,
Yeah. Right.
the platforms, afraid of
Right.
being canceled or whatever. I've
Right.
already been down that
Right.
road. They tried to cancel me so many times.
Yeah.
It doesn't really phase me or bother me anymore. I feel like, being relevant means being closely connected to the matter at hand. And if the
Yeah.
matter at hand is Jesus, well, then I'm always going to be relevant because I'm certainly
Hmm.
closely connected to him. So I'm not really worried about trying to keep, save face or make a certain
Right.
presentation. And I think that that's the kind of other thing that will keep people quiet is even just the energy required of, if you do make a statement of something on
Right.
social media, the chaos that can ensue
Right.
on the
Right.
platform. And I think it takes a certain amount of thick skin and energy to even put up with that,
Sure does.
the world that we live in, unfortunately. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a plethora of things, but I think the bottom line is that we need the church to be speaking up.
Right.
Everyone tries to say, oh, Christian nationalism and separation of church and state. And I'm like, y'all
No.
are reading that wrong. Separation of church and
Right.
state was to keep the state out of the church. Like
Right. It's the
it's
opposite.
not what
Right.
everyone's trying to make it out to be. And I think that we just need um as it once was. I wish we could get back to
Mm.
where there's a standard of morality
Yeah.
because of the strength and the voice of Christians. And we can't get back to that unless
Yeah.
we actually start speaking up.
Yeah.
And so it
Yep.
takes a
Well,
lot of courage.
it does. I think
And
about
that's,
Sean too. He
yeah,
spoke up so much and, he just got
uh,
really a
right.
lot of backlash, but yeah, he's been such him, you, other leaders, we always say this, courage is contagious.
Yeah. Hmm.
So if
Yep.
one leader speaks up and people just start feeling like this is affecting all of us, this crazy
Yeah.
culture, the
Yeah.
attack on our kids. So from the church to the home, we've all got to be standing up. We got to be strong. What are your last I like just get your last words of advice for moms that are listening too. We've kind of talked about the church, but what about to the moms that are listening that
Yeah.
maybe feel like they're in a tough spot. They've got to take a tough stand. They maybe have to move. They've got to there's got to come in and sometimes moms are we're just kind of worn out, especially if you're in the throes of little ones and you're trying to maybe balance this and that. Maybe just some closing words of encouragement to
Yeah.
our moms that are listening.
Yeah, man, moms have such an incredible, huge
Mhm.
job. And I firmly believe, and I think probably all the moms listening would agree with this, that our greatest legacy is going to be through our children.
Yeah.
It's not going to be any kind of big thing that we did. I think about all the different places just I have gone or led worship or different platforms, but truly at the end of my life, the greatest legacy that I will leave behind is going to come through my
Yeah.
children. And
That's
it
right.
takes so much courage to make those really big decisions. Like if it's been in your heart to homeschool and you're kind of going, I don't even know if I can or if I'm capable or whatever it is. I just heard a story the other day of this family that they wanted to homeschool, and to make it work financially they had to essentially sell their house and downsize and move into a much smaller place so that she could stay home to homeschool the
Right.
kids. And I
Right.
thought, what courage,
Mm-hmm.
what
That is
incredible courage
right.
to do that. And it is a sacrifice. It makes me feel even emotional thinking about it. We as moms understand sacrifice, like
Yeah.
we get it. Like I'm the last one to eat. My meal is usually cold. My
Right.
laundry is the
We take
most
care of
neglected.
ourselves last. Yes, I
Yes,
know.
I
I
mean,
know.
we get it, we understand, but It is so true that you reap what you sow. And you have to remember, you cannot forget that you are sowing seeds into your
Yes.
children, into your family. And these are not just seeds that blossom for them, these are seeds that blossom for you, that you will reap what you are sowing, and that there is something bigger and more eternal in all of that.
Mm,
And in the really tough days, the really hard days, it's hard to see that and it's hard to remember that. But put it on a note, stick it somewhere where you're going to remember, like right now I am investing in not just my kids' future but my future. I am sowing into something
yes.
bigger, eternal. One day I will live in the fruit of this moment. One day everything that I'm sowing into, I will live in the fruit of that. And it may not be noticed or recognized by people on the outside, but it is always seen by God.
Mm,
Every sacrifice, every prayer, every
amen.
tear, every decision, every hard decision, every bit of
Amen.
the courage, it does not go unnoticed by God. And it is absolutely true. And it's promised in his word. We will live in the fruit of all of that sowing. And so I just want to encourage moms with that.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yes and amen. Thank you, Kim. You have
Yeah.
just been so lovely to talk with. I knew our moms would love you. Thank you for being a mama warrior, a mama bear. Thank you for being just a vessel for
Yeah,
us
thanks for
to even
having me.
to worship and to fill our house with praise and worship, and even at our church with all that great music. Tell our moms how they can follow you and get your music.
Yeah, so I you can get the music anywhere that you listen to music, or some people still purchase digital downloads. It's
Mhm.
there on all the platforms wherever you listen. Also, you can follow me on all of the social media, Instagram, Facebook, all those places. It says Kim Walker Smith. I also have a YouTube channel where I put regular weekly videos up on there as well. You can subscribe and get a hold of those as well. So
Love it. All right. Well, thank you, Kim. Hello to hubby. Hugs to the kids.
thank
Enjoy
you.
Montana. Big sky. I'm sure what your view every day is kind of a piece of heaven. So good
It's
for
really not
you.
fair to the rest of America, I will say
It
that.
is not fair. I'm in Illinois. It is not fair.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you. God bless, Kim. And
Thank
again,
you.
I'm so excited to see what God has on the horizon for you. You're going to continue to do great things for him, and for just being an inspiration to all of us.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
What a great interview. You can see why Kim is just so amazing. I just love her music. Moms, you are too. Make sure you download Mama. Put that on your playlist. So great. And all her other music too. Just really appreciate all her great words and her beautiful spirit. All right, moms, in closing here, I want to just remind you to like, share, subscribe, share this podcast with your friends. Go ahead, check all of our information out, momsforamerica.us. We're there to help you through your journey through motherhood. Again, we have so many resources for you, just to help inspire and educate you and help you. It's a tough world out there, and we provide such great resources for you. Again, momsforamerica.us. Moms, I say this every week. It's parental rights to public policy. It's the kitchen table to Congress. Moms for America is here. We're your ultimate support group. Please check us out. And I love you, moms. I appreciate you coming by every week. And as always, let's keep changing our world one home at a time. And I will see you next week. God bless.